Hi, Ava. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm great. Huge congratulations on this amazing film and the role and the story. And you are a warrior. I know that was really tough. You did a film, Terezin, Children of the Holocaust. You need to tell us a synopsis.
So this is about in World War II, there is a Camp Terezin that children get deported to, and there are six children living within this stall in the barracks of Camp Terezin before this is the primary step before they get deported to Auschwitz. So they work here, they live here, they just breathe this musty air. They're living in deplorable human conditions, probably the worst kind ever. And my character is really interesting because she plays a capo, which means that she is half Jewish. Well, the capo doesn't mean she's half Jewish, but she is half Jewish. And a capo is basically any Jewish person that was working for the Nazis. So they were part of the Nazis, but the lowest rank and the lowest social status. So it's basically about how these six children are living in their human responses to, inhumane evil and how they each deal with it and how they treat each other and the dynamics and how that's representative of the dynamics in Europe as a whole at the time and the political dynamics as well. And how we can see how politics really
That's
affects
amazing.
children.
How'd you do this during the pandemic?
It was really interesting. So we all just kind of got talking, and my two castmates, Katie and Andrew, were the directors, and they kind of instigated all of this and talked to Anna and decided that we would move to New Hampshire for a week after quarantining by ourselves, not working, not going anywhere, and then getting tested for COVID negative. And then we shot it with a professional film crew, and they also all had to test negative, and quarantine, and an editor, and everyone in that set had to. And then we recorded it at the Actors Studio in Newburyport because they're really nice to lend it out to us. And we used the set that was already there, and we did it that way. So we basically lived together, just the six cast members from ages 10 to 21.
So tell me, how is this film relevant for today?
Well, I think for starters, the first time we shot the first day, there was a Trump rally going on down the street from when we were shooting it, and I had the Star of David across my chest, and I was like, wow, this is really prevalent. I can't even begin to, understand this, and my mind was just having a hard time grasping it. But, we did have a president that was just so complacent and would not condemn white supremacy or condemn any acts of hatred. And when you have a leader like that and no one around him is telling him to stop and people just enable him, that's how it grows. And I think Terezin really shows that, once someone gains power and, starts doing inhumane things and starts doing evil acts and selfishly, and power starts being taken and people are being corrupted, I think that people need to stand up and say something because the U.S. didn't, and we were complacent. The Red Cross didn't, and it took way too long for anyone to make any change and do something. And I think that's so prevalent in our time now with Black Lives Matter. Like there were Black people in our streets dying for so long, and it took someone to take a video of it and be like, "Hey, this is happening, and this is horrible," and a graphic video for people to finally say, "Oh my gosh, like this is happening." But it wasn't just that it started with George Floyd, like it's been happening all along, just under our noses because we've been complacent and we've overlooked it. And there's always going to be that threat of hatred in our society, but we just have to keep looking for ways to overcome it.
Right. I mean, we haven't seen the premiere yet, but I think you have. And how hard is it to watch?
It's really hard to watch. I think for most people, it's really hard to be in it, but I think there is probably a lot that would say it's harder to watch it. At the beginning of the film, we have some pictures that are real of the events, and that's pretty just intense and horrifying and gets you into that mood. And there's music playing that's, specific to the time. And our playwright, who's directed this show many times, she didn't direct our version, but she had so much input on it. She tells her complete story. I think it's about 10 minutes at the very beginning about how, you know, her mother's story is inspired this film, and her mother herself was a capo, and she has this amazing story that she goes through, and that generational trauma, has passed down to her, and that she carries this with her as well, and that she was born herself in an interned persons camp after World War II. But her mom was a survivor, and she also talks about how she's a survivor and how she's owned that, And I think that that's so hard to watch because it's just so raw. It's not a play, it's just her speaking. And then the play itself, I think there's so many moments of intensity, but then there's also moments that are so like pure and childishness, like where there's drawing, there's art, which is so sad because it is so normal for them. And that's the sad part of it. And it's almost in the backdrop and you forget, like, oh my gosh. And then there's moments where it's just screaming in your face and you can't forget that this is just horrible. And then at the end, there's a talk back where the cast debriefs everything and kind of goes through it in a more logical, educational stance, more as historians and then as actors or and more as activists than performers.
Amazing.
Wow.
Well, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And considering you're a senior in high school, this is a tremendous, tremendous gift that you've given us.
And
So
it's
donations, right?
Yeah, it all gets donated to the Terezin organization right now, which will fund Terezin for post-pandemic productions and hopefully get kids touring again because we usually have like 6 or 7 casts at a time, like learning all these parts and rotating through. So, to access the event, we have a terezin.org page on Google. You can just Google that, and then if you go to events, you can click on either time. There's a 2 p.m. and a 7 p.m. on February 6th, and it's hosted through a platform called EventCube. And you can basically buy tickets there, and it only streams at those specific times right now, so you can't just buy it and watch it later. So you do have to do a live streaming, and
Perfect.
there should be.
Well, congratulations again. Tremendous work. And I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ava.